money can roll well. If you ride, you got to run it like your money keeps sticky. That's the station for the Rock Island Line.
Nobody had bought a ticket at this Rock Island station in Graham, about 50 miles northwest of Fort Worth, for a long time, and it looked like freights wouldn't be coming through the town anymore either. In a notice filed with the Interstate Commerce Commission in Washington, and also posted on the sagging Graham station wall in April 1972, the Rock Island announced plans to abandon the 57-mile branch line running from Bridgeport through Jacksboro to Graham.
Well, actually, back in 1966, Rock Island told us they had to abandon on account of losing money, but instead of protesting it, we decided to try to help Rock Island generate revenue to keep the railroad running. And we met with their officials in Fort Worth from Chicago, and with the story we gave them, they decided to withdraw their application to abandon at that time and go from year to year, and so they went along until about a year and a half ago, and they finally decided again that they had to abandon.
The Rock Island further stated that the branch line's abandonment would, quote, have an insignificant effect, if any, on the quality of the human environment.
Well, it means that we have industry that would have been materially affected by losing the railroad. For instance, people who handle cement here, feed stores, and Hexel Corporation, who manufacture honeycomb, and employing some better than 350 people at the present time, and Graham Homes, which had probably 80 to 85 employees, would definitely have been materially affected by the loss of the railroad. The big problem with losing a railroad is when you're trying to secure new industry. Every industry that you talk to certainly wants you to have one, whether they propose to use it immediately or not. They would certainly like you to have a railroad.
Gene Marchman's lived in Graham for 45 years. He's retired now, having made his fortune as an independent oil operator in the Wise, Jack, and Young counties area. While he and the other members of the Graham Industrial Association were wondering and worrying over how to keep their town moving without rail freight service, Cy Martin was selling medical equipment from Euless and dreaming about a railroad.
Well, I guess I'm born with the railroad interest. That's why I'm about the age of my son over there, about 18. So I work part-time running the amusement park railroad, Sylvania Park there in Fort Worth. I did that for about 3 years part-time. Got earning my spending money. I guess I got infected with the railroad real good then, real well. Well, more recently, 25 years, I've been a member of Trinity Valley Railroad Club that has a museum in Weatherford. And they have about 12 operable passenger cars, plus an old steam locomotive and an old diesel. And before I got interested in this stuff and working with restoring and refurbishing it, the more natural pressure it was to have a place to run it.
Lanny Brantz, a Sweetwater insurance man, was also a member of the Trinity Valley Railroad Club. He and Martin heard about the Rock Island's plans and contacted the railroad about running one of the club's restored locomotives over the line as a tourist attraction. But the Rock Island said no, and thus entered the Graham Industrial Association.
They offered to sell it to us at a price much below salvage, providing we could keep it running. So then we went to work to try to find both someone to run it and the money, and were finally successful in securing an operator, which is the Texas Export Railroad Company. And we were able, through our lending institutions and the help from the government SBA organization on a 502 loan, to raise the money, buy the railroad and this locomotive, and keep it in operation.
The railroad put Brantz and Martin in touch with the folks from Graham, and thus began the Texas Export Railroad Company, an unlikely association between the Rock Island, a couple of amateur highballers, a wealthy oil operator anxious to do something for his town before retiring to Phoenix, the captains of Graham's industry, and ultimately a high roller from Sweetwater.
The Graham Industrial Association was, of course, interested in saving the railroad. They have several industries over there which are dependent upon it, and they are aware of the fact that once the railroad is gone, that there's certain types of industries that they would no longer be able to natural. We wanted to run a railroad, and they wanted to buy one. So one thing led to another, and we formed an operating corporation. They own it, we lease it, and after 3 years, our lease payments will go in on the equity, and we can eventually buy it out. So it worked out real nice for everybody.
The Rock Island sold the line for $365,000, way under what they could have sold the track for at salvage. But the railroad has its reasons for wanting to keep the line open, with one of them visible each time cars for grain are picked up and delivered where the Rock Island's main line passes through Bridgeport. The financing was supplied by banks in Graham, Bryson, and Jacksboro, the purchase loans being guaranteed by the Federal Small Business Administration. Texas Export's financing came mostly from Frank Sorrell, Jr., Brantz's friend from back in Sweetwater. Sorrell, who's involved in construction, ranching, and manufacturing, owns nearly 70% of Texas Export and thought running a railroad might be fun.
Just look at them children waving their hands. Oh, she's picking up now. Oh, she's picking up now.
What have they got for their money? Well, there's the locomotive bought for $10,000 from the Georgetown Railroad, which in turn had bought it from the Cotton Belt Railroad. There's the track, of course, some of it lightweight 70-pound rail, which limits the Texas Export to a top speed of 25 miles per hour. Besides the mud and the grass along the way, the quality of the roadbed varies. Cy Martin, who's the line's only paid employee, will have to get around to fixing it someday, probably with the help of his son David, a junior at Euless High School. The Texas Export makes 2 runs a week, usually pulling 2 or 3 freight cars a trip.
Coming to the grade now.
They will kind of get out of your way. Oh, that old Betsy there, I thought she was going to run in front of it, so I had to throw it in emergency. I was afraid I'd hit her.
Nobody expects the Texas Export to make a go of it from freight fees, not unless Graham and Jacksboro suddenly becomes a small-scale metroplex. But Martin and Brantz have other ideas.
Well, we knew there wasn't enough freight on the line to make the railroad viable, and so our proposed tourist operation really fits in just fine. We feel that the line, because of its away from civilization atmosphere, I guess that's the word, and it's, cross-country creek like this, you get away from it all. Between Bridgeport and Jacksboro, we only come near the highway, probably 5 miles out of 30. So, and it's close to the 2.5 million people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so we think we've got an ideal tourist attraction here. And we believe that the tourism coupled with our freight traffic, we can make the road viable.
But for now, there's Graham and its industry, almost given a second life.
This area used to be dependent entirely on ranching and farming and oil. Oil business has been going down for several years, slowing down in the area with less drilling all the time. And so there were a lot of employees here that had been employed in the oil fields and oil business that were out of work. And this industry has taken up all of that slack at the present time. In fact, practically everyone in Graham who wants to work certainly is working today here in these industries.
On our tourist operation, we're planning to have several things. We're going to have a train robbery. We'll stop the train with all kinds of phony gunfire and everything. And the sheriff will get off the train probably and arrest the villain or the robber. As the villain comes on through the train, the conductors will encourage the audience to hiss and boo. And the villain, of course, will sneer back at the passengers. So we think it'd be a lot of fun.